Perry City
the
Council work session
position for
for
the guy
November
too.
the
I mean, it was
2nd,
like subject with all his
2024.
Miss Joy,
certifications.
there's, start.
We have a quorum.
Sorry.
Item 3 on our agenda are items for review and discussion. Item 3A is the office of the city manager. 3A1 is the water first presentation, water and wastewater. Mr. Smith?
Mayor and Council, thank you. Following up on the presentation I provided to you in the last work session pertaining to stormwater, tonight I have basically the other half of that presentation that covers water and wastewater. And of course, it's in relation to our ongoing process of becoming a water-first community. There's basically 3 pillars to that, if you will: stormwater, water, and wastewater. And the GFO committee and the program itself looks at how the city handles those resources and make sure that we're good stewards of those resources. And this is, again, part of the presentation that I provided to the review committee that came down to the city this past September. That was made up of other water-first communities and some of the state partners like GFO, DCA, that type of thing, that were here to look at us as a community, see how we're doing with water resources, and determine whether we are a good fit for a water-first community. Does anyone have any questions about last week or the last presentation or that type of thing? Jumping right into it with our water system. Of course, we run an EPD permitted domestic water system. You can see here some of the pertinent data behind this. We have approximately 8,700 water customers currently, and right now we are at 6.15 million gallons per day permitted capacity. Now, what does that really mean for us, right? Well, on average, we use about 1.78 million gallons per day, really kind of closer to 2 these days. And then at the height of summer, when water resources are a little bit limited, we can actually see that spike up to about 3 million gallons per day. So nowhere near capacity at this point in time. Y'all have done an excellent job planning for capacity, and with Water Plant 3, where the Tucker Road Water Treatment Facility coming online, we should have water resources for generations to come. You can see here, just for your information, gallons per day usage for each of our types of customers. So on average, our residential customer, which is the vast majority of our customers, utilize 168 gallons of water per day for their general use. In regards to the fees, the user charges that are provided for water service, you can see both for residential and commercial and industrial. So residential and non-residential, there's a $3 base charge per month, which is per billing, and that is per meter. Beyond that, you have consumption-based fees that are charged, approximately 38 cents per unit. A unit is, of course, 100 gallons. So 38 cents per unit for consumption for residential and for irrigation. And then for commercial industrial, you have 39 cents for consumption per unit. If they are doing pre-treatment, which we have 3 customers that are currently on pre-treatment, they're charged 25 cents per unit for consumption. And then on average, not really on average, but for this fiscal year, we have an approximate operating budget of $2.25 million to provide water services to our customers. A general overview of infrastructure, I know you're all very aware of this type of thing. Right now, we have 6 groundwater production wells, 3 groundwater production facilities, and of course, the necessary storage and distribution to get that out to our customers. This will be changing. We are in the process currently of decommissioning Water Plant 1 that's been around since, I believe, the 20s or 30s. So we'll have 2 groundwater production facilities and 5 groundwater wells from this point forward. Really what the state's looking at, what the review committee's looking at when they come to see the city of Perry in regards to becoming a water-first community is how do they conserve water and how do they protect the water supply that's in place. That's really the crux of being a water-first community. And we have a number of ongoing initiatives that work towards this. And we're actually doing a very, very good job, as you see in some later slides, at promoting water conservation in the community. Some of the key areas we have are leak detection and elimination program, very robust, both out in the customer area, but also internally with our production facilities. We have a census-based, which is our software that we utilize for water billing services, based leak detection program, where they run detection reports, and they can see if any of our customers out there are have spiking the use, there may be a leak there, so we can contact that customer and say, hey, you need to check out your system. We can go help them, see if it's maybe on our side or on their side. And then internally, with our SCADA system that operates our water facilities, we can see if there's any sort of issues with our production process. I'm not going to go through all of these. I know you're all very familiar with this. Something that GEPA was very impressed with that y'all are doing that works towards water conservation is the ongoing meter replacement program. As you're all aware, you have allocated $500,000 per year for 10 years to change out all of the meters in the city. And that's making sure that the water that goes out into the system is being accounted for when it's delivered to the customer. Very, very important part of our distribution system. Upgrading older equipment, we're constantly doing that type of thing. The drought response program, this is something that really shocked me when the review committee came down to check us out, was we're really one of the few communities in the state that have a drought response program. And of course, y'all are very familiar with this. We monitor water levels in our wells. When they hit certain levels, usually around 110 feet, we'll enact tiered water conservation practices where we hope to limit water use and promote conservation amongst our customers. There's amazing response we got on that. It's a very, very good program there. And then rate-driven conservation. As you're also all aware, during the budget process, we build in rate increases for all of our services on an annual basis. Usually that's around 2% each year. That allows us to make sure that we have the money to operate the system, but also promotes conservation amongst the users because they don't necessarily pay more year after year. We are required by EPD each year to conduct a water audit. And what this looks at is water that's pumped out of the ground, getting distributed out to our customers. How much of it can we account for? You can see our most recent water audit that was conducted in 2019. We pumped and supplied approximately 730 million gallons of water. 600 million gallons of that was accounted for in consumption, and that left 130 million gallons of water that we are not able to account for. When the GEPA Review Board was here, this is one of the areas that we specifically mentioned that we need to improve on, and we are working to improve on these numbers. You can see that our validity score, what's the validity score? That's basically your score from the water audit that is provided to each community that the state looks at when they're looking at your water audit. For the past 5 years, we've had a 63. Again, that's something that we certainly need to improve on. We're seeing signs of improvement. As part of the water audit, they look at infrastructure leakage index, or ILI. I learned all this stuff during this process, by the way. But the ILI, which looks at leakage in your distribution system, both at the production facilities and then out in the pipes. And we are seeing a positive trend in regard to the ILI decreasing year after year. So a lot of what we're doing is working to hopefully eliminate some of that unaccounted for water. Despite what the water audit says, we are very certain that what we're doing right now as a city in regards to water conservation is working. This graph, what you see here is raw water. This is water that's pumped out of the ground. That's the blue line. And then orange water is water that's treated. So that's water that comes back to the wastewater treatment facility to be treated. Since spiking in 2006, you can see that there has been a steady general decrease in both water that's pumping out of the ground and water that's returned to the wastewater facility in turn because of the water not being pumped. But a general decline, so it's showing a general decrease in use citywide for water despite significant increases in population. So we think that's indicative of success and that the initiatives that y'all put in place are working. From a customer standpoint, we've also seen positive consumption trends. Since 2006, again, that same year where these kind of spiked in regards to usage, we've seen a 63% increase in population. However, only a corresponding 25% increase in water usage. And that is across the board for all of our customers. And then for ERUs, which of course is equivalent residential units, that's how we measure a lot of our utility operations. And that's basically single-family residential detached structures. The vast majority of our customers, we've seen a daily gallon per day consumption decrease of 57% in that same time frame. So again, very, very significant. Lots of positive signs that what we're doing in regards to water conservation as a community is working. Like you saw a lot with stormwater, there are a lot of things that we do to reach out to our citizens, to our customers, and engage with them and hopefully promoting water conservation. Most of that, of course, is done digitally now. However, we do release a very, very high quality product once a year to our customers in the form of our water quality report. It's a fantastic document that shows a lot about how our water is produced, how it gets out to the customer, shows that it's of quality, all sorts of very good information that goes out to our customers on an annual basis. And in regards to planning, again, a huge part of becoming a water-first community. You all planned for, and now it's operating, the Tucker Road Water Treatment Facility. Of course, a 2 million gallon per day capacity facility that should provide water security for 40, 50 years for our community. And of course, the achievement program is going to highlight the project, right? We did a tour when they were in town. It was fantastic. They were all very excited. I don't think it's me. Getting into wastewater management, you can see that currently with our wastewater system, we have 7,200 customers. Of those 7,200 customers, we operate with a budget of $2.16 million for this fiscal year. And then, of course, we have to account for the septic tanks in our community that are required for GEPA becoming a water-first community. We currently have 44 permitted septic tanks in the city of Perry. It's a very salient topic as well. The fees charged for sewer usage is based on water usage. So for residential customers, for water usage consumption, if they use 1 to 80 units of water, that's again a unit's 100 gallons, they're charged 83 cents or 84 cents per unit for sewer. And that's really the same for our non-residential customers. The big difference there is the break point for non-residential customers is 181 units for the 68 cent charge. The decrease where it's 80 units for residential customers. And then, of course, if they're doing pre-treatment, they get a little bit of a break and are charged a little bit less. We, of course, have one wastewater treatment facility, the Frank Satterfield Road wastewater treatment facility. It is permitted to treat 7.5 million gallons per day. We currently run about 3 million gallons. Permitted to treat 3 million gallons per day. We're currently running about 2.1 million gallons per day through that facility. It does spike during significant rain events. There have been discussions about increasing our permitted effluent or permitted discharge, but we've done a good job of conserving water usage and promoting situations where not a whole lot is flowing into the facility, so we haven't had to increase that for a number of years. And of course, the discharges is a big thing to increase with this effluent. Again, public outreach education. A lot of this is what they call fog, fats, oils, and greases. That's really the biggest problem that we see with our sewer system is people dumping oils, grease, that type of stuff in there and clogging up the system. So trying to get as much information out about that as possible. Then we also put out just literature and that type of thing in our public spaces for people to read. And septic tanks. This is one of those things when you bring it up with GEPA, like, oh, y'all still have septic tanks. What's up with that? I mean, obviously we are doing whatever we can as a city to restrict the use of septic tanks in the city. Some of the big things that y'all have actually done in the recent year are some of the revised septic tank permitting guidelines. And the biggest part of that, I believe, would be the plats must include the sewer system access easements. They must show where sewer system can be tied into that subdivision prior to development. And then a covenant that runs with the title advising the owners that it has to connect to the city sewer once it's available at that site. Two very strong methodologies in promoting or disincentivizing the use of septic tanks in the city. In regards to success and some of the planning successes y'all have had, this is of course the Perry Branch Sewer. Starts up around East Chapel Road, House and Lake, and kind of goes to the Board of Education, 80 Redmond Park, the Board of Education property, down Cambridge area, over Main Street, and ends at the Frank Satterfield wastewater treatment facility. We've had issues here with capacity for the past number of years. Y'all are all very aware of that. Especially during significant rain events, we get surcharging in the area. And you can see here some of the photos of some of the manholes. manholes, where there's just not enough capacity to handle the flow. In the past 2 years, we've had 15 spills and approximately 3.5 million gallons of sewage have come from those spills. You all, in your infinite wisdom, saw that we needed to do something here, so recently allocated over $2 million to upgrade the capacity associated with that line. And that's the type of foresight and planning that GFA and the review committee really like to see in regards to being a water-first community. We talked a lot about, during the past presentation, this presentation, what's going on now currently with our utility system. So they wanted to hear a little bit about where we're going. And of course, as you're all very aware, that's the Eastern Perry service area. And we are working currently to study about how we're going to provide services to that area, how we're going to provide water, sewer, roads, public safety, all that type of thing we need to be thinking about, and we're currently in the process of planning forward. And then again, here you can see some of the sewer proposal as it currently stands with the new wastewater treatment facility down there. I think it's currently the House County Development Authority property, current Prince Edward wastewater treatment facility, and some of the, but you're all very familiar with what's going on with that. Any questions on that? Kind of breeze through what I know. I'd be happy to answer if you have. All right, great. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Appreciate that. It's very informative. We have a very complex system when you look at it. Item 3B is the office of the city clerk. 3B1 is the establishment of the council's 2021 meeting calendar. Ms. Warren?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your board pack, you will find a copy of the 2021 proposed meeting calendar for your consideration.
Questions, Councilman? When we get to the end of the year next year, we'll look at that week of the 21st. Typically, we have not met the week of Christmas if our meeting falls on that. We'll wait till we get to that period and see where we are. But outside of that, do we have concurrence from the council to move forward with this calendar?
Yes.
Ms. Warren? It appears you have concurrence. Thank you. Item 3C is from the Department of Finance. 3C1 is a discussion and recommendation for P card provider. Mr. Worthington?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I wanted to take a few minutes of your time and go over our purchasing card program, known as short as our P card program. I'll start the evening presenting who our current provider is. I'll move on to go over some opportunities that we can have if we were to switch vendors. And then finally, I'll present a recommended vendor to you guys and discuss next steps if you guys are willing to accept my recommendation. So currently, our provider of P cards is Century Bank and Trust. They're a community bank out of Milledgeville, and our only business relationship with this bank is the provision of P cards. In my opinion, I believe that while they do have online management controls for those P cards, I think they're rudimentary compared to what some of the other standards are out there these days if we were to switch providers. And I also want to point out that our current program has no rewards or rebates, which pretty much everyone's probably used to on your personal credit cards. Those are also available to business cards, which I would like to explore the idea of maybe getting one of those set up for the city. And because of this, these points, I wanted to go out and see what else was available. So after sitting through several presentations with many banks here in town, I came up with several opportunities that we had if we were to switch vendors. Number one, and most important to me as the finance director, would be that we have very robust real-time controls. Those are all online based. One of the big ones would be merchant codes. So every store has what's called a merchant codes. It's kind of by type. So for example, grocery stores have a certain merchant code, gas stations have a certain merchant code, hardware stores have a certain merchant code. And nowadays, P cards are so robust that I can assign those merchant codes to individual cards or individual users. So for example, if we wanted to give a P card to someone on the Public Works team, I can set it up so that they can only use that P card at hardware stores, maybe Walmart, places like that, I can say, no, you can't use that at a service station, which could prevent them from going in and buying Gatorades or beer and cigarettes, anything like that. It's just a good level of control that would be great, in my opinion, that we could have. I can also turn cards on and off in real time. I could temporarily increase credit limits for individuals. So say we wanted to give a public works crew member a $1,000 credit limit so that when they're working on a project, they can go buy miscellaneous things, but we know they've got a big purchase coming up, or Ansley's going to be out for a week and she has a higher credit limit, we can temporarily give one of her crew members a higher limit in case something came up. In my mind, that would be the real goal of switching from my view as the finance director, is all those controls that are in place. What most people like to hear is that the card that I'm going to recommend would come with an annual rebate of 1% of spend. In FY 2020, we spent about $180,000 through our P cards, so that would be about $1,800 cash back. But we are working on increasing our spend on P cards, and the more that we spend, the more money we would get back, and it would be safer and under better control. And finally, by switching to a local bank, we do have the option of supporting a business with local ties instead of supporting a bank in Milledgeville that we don't have any other real ties to. Nothing against Century Bank and Trust, but we have some very good partners here in the city of Perry. So without further ado, after sitting through presentations from several banks here in town, my recommendation would be that we would switch our P-card services over to Synovus. The two main reasons for that was, in my opinion, Synovus had the most features, and they were all available online. And finally, there were no service or annual charges. All the other banks I interviewed, their online support system was not as robust as Synovus, or they were working on getting it as robust as Synovus, but they weren't quite there yet. Or they charged a service fee or some sort of annual fee, which why would we pay for something when another bank can do it for free? So finally, next steps would be if Mayor and Council would concur with my recommendation, at a future meeting, I would bring a resolution to this group. That resolution would do two main things. It would name who the authorized administrators are for the P-card program, and it also authorizes the city to apply for credit. In between now and that meeting, I would work with Synovus on developing a plan for what that credit limit needs to be, and that would probably also be named in that, or not probably, it would be named in that resolution what our line of credit would be. As soon as you guys pass that resolution, we would work quickly to establish the new account, get everything in place, and we would distribute cards. My guess is we could get all this done in January of 21, so in the next couple months. And then finally, we would close our line of credit with Century Bank and Trust. That really concludes my presentation. I think it's a no-brainer in my opinion. If you do have any questions that I can't answer, Mark Yarbrough from Synovus is here with us today. So with that, if you guys have any questions, we'll be happy to try and answer them.
Council members, questions relative to the recommendation? Everybody ready to move forward with this recommendation? Yes. Concurrent with council?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, council members. Thank you, Mr. Worthington. Item 4, council member items. Ms. Bynum Grace. Mr. Jones.
No, sir.
Mr. Hunt.
Yes, sir, this is a small item between Swanson and CBA office of the sidewalk. That sidewalk belongs to the city, right?
Right.
It needs some attention.
We will have that looked at. I imagine it's the edges where it's sinking, where they put the light. We will address that. Thank you for bringing it up. Mayor Pro Tem Dean.
One citizen contacted me about the traffic issues that continue at Perry Middle School. And I think there was an accident there recently, this past week or two. And I know there's a vehicle there with flashing lights, but I think there was some issue. He has some concerns about the skill of the person who, what do you call that person? crosswalk.
Crossing guards.
Crossing guard, thank you. And but just that, was there anything else that we could do in the city to improve that situation? Just backed up on Macon Road way back and on the Parkway some as well. So I promised I would mention that to you.
I think I caught part of what you were asking, but we'll take a look at it and report back if that works for you.
The basic question was, can you improve the situation at Perry Middle School at drop-off and pick-up time?
Right, and so we'll take a look at it,
Okay,
okay?
all right, thank you.
Dr. Alden?
Nothing, sir.
Ms. Gilmore?
Nothing.
Nothing for us this evening. Mr. Smith?
No, sir.
Ms. Newby, anything for us this evening?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Easy group tonight. Item 5, department head. Ms. King?
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Worthing, anything more?
Nothing further.
Mr. Wood?
No, sir.
Chief Lynn?
Nothing, sir, thank you.
Chief Parker?
Nothing, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Clark?
Yes, sir. On behalf of Ms. Turpin, the Wicca or Halloween thing, I can't say it, I'm sorry. With that. The event this past weekend at Brewery Park was extremely successful. We got so much positive feedback. If you happen to have gone out there, I don't think there was a spare area where you could actually chalk because families had chalked several Halloween things around. I know my children absolutely love the ghost hunt and the storybook walk. So we are very pleased about how the community responded to that. And we know that we also had several out-of-town visitors outside of Perry actually come to the event as well.
Reading her write-up, one of the things that I was really pleased with was the fact that a large number of the people who were there had never been to Rotary Centennial Park. So we're creating an interest, also showing off an asset that we have that many people do not know about. So it's very good work through the weekend, and we appreciate all the effort that she's put into that. Mr. Swan?
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to report, we had our Halloween pet costume contest this weekend. Well, these past few weeks, the voting went in this past Friday, and we, I guess, announced the 2 winners on Halloween at noon, and we had 22 participants. So for a first-time event, I think that was a great amount of entries and submissions, and then we had nearly 400 people to vote via Facebook. So I think, looking at the comments on Facebook, I think that we had a great response for the first year, and we'll continue to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Ms. Spitzner?
Nothing.
Ms. Martin?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to give you all an update from the career fair that Sandler Nonwoven had here on October 22nd. They were very excited leading up to it because we had referred them to a work-based learning instructor at Veterans High School, and they had already hired 4 high school students to learn industrial manufacturing. So they did have 1 in attendance that was helping. And then at the event, we had approximately 70 people show up here at the Art Center that were looking for jobs here at Sandler and Perry. We had about 15 at a line out the door, social distance, of course, 30 minutes before the event started. So their incredible HR team did an excellent job. They got ready pretty quickly, and we moved people in about 15 minutes ahead of time. Approximately 70 people were in attendance, and they anticipated hiring 40 of those. So the quality and the caliber of candidates was quite impressive.
Good. Sounds like it was very successful. We appreciate your efforts in helping our industrial partner there. Worked out well. Thank you. Ms. Warren, anything else from the city clerk's office? If there's nothing else for our regular meeting at this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of real estate and personnel.
Second.
All in favor? Raise your right hand. We'll be moving into executive